In the name of Allah, the most merciful and the most compassionate, may Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be upon His final and last messenger, Muhammad. And may Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be with each and every one of you, dear viewers, watching this new episode of our program, The Revelation, here on Nine TV International. In this episode, my dear viewers, we will be picking up where we left, highlighting the important topic of suicide prevention. Before moving on to the warning signs of suicide, there remains a very important misconception, and I would say even a myth about suicide prevention, and that's talking to someone or asking them openly if they are thinking about committing suicide or not would give them the idea to commit suicide. As a matter of fact, this is a wrong idea. This is not how it works when it comes to suicide. Rather, as a matter of fact, the opposite is true. Because when we speak openly with an individual that we can see that's showing or exhibiting signs of uncomfort and depression, this can help them to avoid committing suicide, and they can open up and speak openly and frankly, and this is where we can take it further in order to save their lives. Thus, it is very important if you notice any of these warning signs to speak directly to the individual and to ask them, are you thinking or are you considering committing suicide? And we will look more into the right approach that we need to employ in helping and reaching out to a suicidal individual.
من أحياها فكأنما أحيا الناس جميعا.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate, and whoever saves one, it is as if he had saved mankind entirely.
With that being said, my dear viewers, let's delve more into the warning signs of suicide. Because as I mentioned before, the very first step of preventing suicide is to recognize these warning signs. Because we have an academic literature that proves that individuals who commit suicide, most often they give out signals or clues that they are actually thinking about committing suicide or taking their own lives. One of these very important warning signs is talk or frequent statements about dying, about death, and about taking their own lives. We need to understand that this is an SOS message. This is a cry out for help. And this is why, as parents, teachers, and even common members in the community, we need to keep an eye on this. We need to be alert if such statements are unprecedentedly common on the tongue of especially teenagers or any individual. Because as I mentioned, we need to take this seriously, because really it can be an indication that this individual is thinking about committing suicide. And thus it can be reflective of their intention to commit suicide or to take their own life. Another very common sign of committing suicide or thinking about committing suicide is looking for lethal means. This is a very important point that we need to be really cautious about. If we notice that our children, or I mean one of them, is seeking access to pills, guns, knives, any such lethal means, we need to be cautious and to try to find out why they are seeking access to such lethal means, because obviously they can be used in committing suicide is preoccupation with death. If I notice that my child is always thinking about death and occupied with the idea of being dead, all of this needs to be taken seriously, especially if this was not the case before, and this is coming in a very alarming way, that they are always asking about it, they always have concerns about it. Then, as a parent, as a responsible person in the community, as a first responder in the school, we need to be cautious about this, and we need to keep an eye on this child or this individual if a mature person. Another warning sign here, my dear viewers, is if you notice on their language a sense of depression, a sense of hopelessness. This is also reflective of a person's intention of committing suicide. This is why we need also to keep an eye on this and see what is the problem with this person. Show that you care, point out alternatives, and seek further help. And this is a very important point. Yes, it is true that as individuals, we need to be aware of such knowledge. However, whenever we see one or more of these warning signs of suicide, we need to seek further professional help. We need to involve, for example, if I see that one of my friends is exhibiting one or more of these warning signs, I need to reach out to their family members. I need to reach out to someone who is older in the community. If we are, for example, at high school, and you see that there is more than one sign of these warning signs being available regarding one of my friends, then in this case, I need to seek further help, because here we are doing our best to save a human life. And of course, this is a very important thing, and of course we need to take the right course of action.
من أحياها فكأنما أحيا الناس جميعا.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate, and whoever saves one, it is as if he had saved mankind entirely.
Another very important warning sign here, my dear viewers, is if we notice a language that reflects self-loathing, and as I said before, feelings of worthlessness, a feeling of constant shame and guilt, and even utilizing a language that expresses self-hatred. All of these are signs that it is highly probable that this individual is considering committing suicide. As a matter of fact, let me even delve more with you into these warning signs. For instance, it can be that this individual is getting their affairs in order by, for example, writing down a will, and they are giving away their valuable possessions, and they are making arrangements to meet or to say goodbye to family members or certain friends. This is a very important warning sign, so I need to speak up, I need to check out what is going on.
He created the plants and trees. He created the birds and bees. He created the oceans and seas. Some of his many bounties.
That's it for this episode, my dear viewers. With this, we come to the end of today's episode, speaking of the topic of suicide prevention. Of course, as usual, you are most welcome to watch this episode on the social media, and please do share it with your friends, colleagues, and family members so that they can also benefit from the content. Until then, I leave you in the care of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wishing you all the best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.